The moment I slid under her car, the cold Dallas asphalt pressing against my back, I knew my life was over. It's not the one we had built over 10 years in our quiet suburban home, but the one I thought I knew. The smell of oil and dust filled my nostrils as I lay there in the dark, my heart hammering against my ribs. Her engine rumbled to life, the tires crunching on the gravel of our driveway. I held my breath. This wasn't just about suspicion anymore. This was a hunt, and I had a sickening feeling that I was about to find exactly what I was looking for. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It had all started with a simple question at a dinner party 6 months prior. One of my oldest friends, Mark, pulled me aside, while my wife, Clara, was charming the room. "Is everything all right with you two?" he'd asked, his face etched with concern. I laughed it off, told him we were fine, just busy. But his words were a stone dropped into a still pond. The humiliation bloomed in my chest, hot and sharp. He saw it. Someone else saw the cracks I had been trying to paint over. Clara and I had become roommates who shared a mortgage. Her touch was fleeting. Her laughter for me felt rehearsed. And her eyes? Her eyes were always somewhere else. The strange behavior wasn't a sudden storm. It was a slow, creeping fog. Late nights at work became the norm. Girls' nights out, once a monthly thing, were now happening every Friday. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now her constant companion, always screened down, always silenced. I started to feel like a ghost in my own home. One evening, I was cleaning out her car and found a receipt from a restaurant I'd never heard of, the French Room in downtown Dallas. It was 4/2, dated on a night she was supposedly working late. The charge was extravagant. When I asked her about it, her smile was tight, her voice smooth as ice. "Oh, that was a client dinner, honey. Super boring. You would have hated it." The slow discovery was like pulling a thread. Once I started, the whole thing began to unravel. I wasn't proud of it, but one night while she was in the shower, I checked her phone. It was locked, of course, but a notification popped up on the screen. It's a text from a name I didn't recognize. Alex. The message was simple. "Tonight was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you." My blood ran cold. I saw other little things. A credit card statement with a charge for a room at the Hotel Zaza. Phone call I overheard, where she whispered, "I miss you too," before quickly hanging up when I walked into the room. Her personality shifted. The warm, loving woman I married was replaced by a cold, manipulative stranger. She started picking fights over nothing, twisting my words, making me feel like I was the one going crazy. "You're so paranoid, Tom," she'd sneer. "Maybe if you weren't so insecure, our marriage wouldn't be in this state." She and this Alex character seemed to feel untouchable. She flaunted her new happiness, a glow that had nothing to do with me. I felt like a fool, the last person to know. The punchline to a cruel joke everyone else was in on. The breaking point came on a rainy Tuesday night. I had planned a special dinner, hoping, stupidly, to reconnect. I cooked her favorite meal. She walked in 2 hours late, smelling of a cologne that wasn't mine, and barely glanced at the table. "I'm exhausted," she sighed. "I'm just going to go to bed." That night, I sat alone at the dining table. The food growing cold, and I finally broke. I went into the garage, closed the door, and just sobbed. It's the kind of raw, guttural sobs that tear you apart from the inside. The betrayal wasn't just an act. It was the complete erasure of our shared history, of the man I thought I was. In that dusty garage, something inside me hardened. The grief turned to ice, the pain to purpose. I was done being the victim. I was going to be the architect. My emotional breakdown became my secret weapon. I played the part of the defeated, oblivious husband perfectly. I apologized for being paranoid. I stopped asking questions. I let her think she had one. Meanwhile, my real work began. I bought a small, high-quality voice recorder and a GPS tracker. I hired a private investigator, a retired cop with tired eyes, who'd seen it all. I opened a new bank account and started quietly moving my personal funds. I spent my nights not sleeping, but meticulously gathering proof. Photos from the pie of Clara and a smug-looking man with slicked back hair, leaving that cheap motel off I-35. copies of their text messages filled with graphic details that made my stomach churn. Recordings of their phone calls, her voice dripping with a passion I hadn't heard in years. I discovered Alex was Alex Vance, a senior partner at her marketing firm, a man we'd had dinner with. A man who had shaken my hand in my own home. Traps were set with legal and social precision. I consulted with the best divorce attorney in Dallas, a shark named Ms. Albright. We documented everything. Every lie, every dollar spent on the affair, every asset she would try to claim. The social trap was even more intricate. Clara's parents were old-fashioned, pillars of their community. Her father was also the primary investor in the company. Where she and Alex worked, I scheduled a dinner for her parents' 40th wedding anniversary. Clara thought it was my grand gesture of reconciliation. She even bragged to her friends about how I was finally trying again. The night of the party was cinematic. It was held at a beautiful venue, the Dallas Arboretum. All of their friends and family were there, 100 people dressed in their finest. Clara was radiant, floating around the room, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter. Her father stood up to give a speech about family, integrity, and love. As he finished, I walked to the podium. "I'd like to say a few words too," I said, my voice steady. Clara smiled at me, a proud, patronizing smile. I looked out at the crowd, my eyes landing on her father. "Frank," I began, "you spoke of integrity, of family." Then I turned my gaze to Clara. Her smile faltered. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a small stack of photographs. "So I think it's time everyone knew about the integrity of this family." I dropped the first photo onto the projector. It was Clara and Alex kissing in the parking lot of the motel. A gasp rippled through the room. I dropped another. Them checking in. Another. Them laughing over drinks at the French room. I let the silence hang in the air, thick and suffocating. These were taken on nights she told me she was working late. On nights she was with her sick friend. "And this," I said, my voice dropping, "is a transcript of a call she made to him this morning. From our bed, telling him how she can't wait to take half of my assets and start a new life." The fallout was immediate, catastrophic. Her father's face was a mask of fury and shame. Her mother was weeping. Clara stood frozen, her face drained of all color.
Alex Vance,
who was also in attendance, tried to slip out the back, but her father's business partners blocked his path. He was fired the next day. Her parents disowned her on the spot. When we went to court, Ms. Albright presented the mountain of evidence. The judge, citing the infidelity clause and her blatant misappropriation of marital funds, awarded me the house, the majority of our assets, and left her with nothing but her debts and her shame. She was completely ruined. Her friends abandoned her. Her family wouldn't speak to her. She lost her job, her reputation, and the comfortable life she took for granted. The last I heard, she was working as a waitress in some forgotten diner off a highway in another state, living in a tiny apartment. The vibrant, arrogant woman was gone, replaced by a hollowed-out shell. Sometimes late at night, I walk through the silent rooms of this big, empty house. Everything is exactly as I want it. It's clean. It's quiet. It's mine. I won. I got my revenge. But as I stand here, looking out at the dark, manicured lawn we once planned to fill with children's laughter, I have to admit something. Winning feels a lot like being the last man standing in a graveyard. The end.